What's going on, YouTube? So the GMC Acadia has changed a lot through the years, and the three-row SUV market has also changed a lot through the years, now really favoring a lot of space.
But this GMC Acadia has not just grown in terms of space, it's also grown a lot in terms of luxury with this Denali trim level.
So, with more luxury and more space than ever before, is this the family SUV to beat? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's get things started out under the hood. So there's big changes under here for the new generation of this GMC Acadia because we now have gotten rid of the previous powertrains completely. There's no more V6. In its place, we have a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's making 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque, which is quite a bit more actually than that previous V6. Now, power is going to be routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you have front-wheel drive as well as available all-wheel drive variants.
Now, of course, we'll be talking more about the powertrain specifics when we take this vehicle out on a spin later on in this review. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. Additionally, after that, we'll be talking about potential resale value and reliability, which is a new thing that we're adding into our reviews. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and take a look at the pretty stylish Denali exterior design.
Now, a big part of the luxury experience of the Denali is the exterior design. So let's get into that. You're going to know this is a Denali right from the beginning as soon as you see this grille. This, of course, is the signature Denali grille, but everything has been updated. So this is the latest GMC design. Everything's a little bit more rounded off, say, versus the previous generation, which was really, really boxy. And it definitely has a distinct look from something, say, like the Yukon. Now, each trim level is also going to get a little bit of a different look up here in the front, but one of the things that I really like about all the trim levels are the headlights. So you're going to have standard projector LED headlights on every single version, and in addition to that, you're going to get this signature daytime running light that brackets all around the headlight itself. It's a really nice look, and of course, very distinctly GMC. One Denali exclusive feature, though, is the fact that we have the dynamic turn signal indicators, and we also have entry and exit animations. And then dropping down below, we also have an LED fog light down here. Now, moving around to the rear of the new Acadia, we do, of course, have a new design.
Yeah, I really like the way this looks. It has some blacked out elements as well as a lot of chrome elements to show that you went for the fully loaded Denali model. One of those big elements is you're going to notice that Denali is spelled out across the back. It actually switches positions with the GMC logo. So GMC's down here, big Denali branding is actually right here. And Drew went ahead and hopped inside because one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is we test out all the TLI elements to see if all of the elements are LED. We do have an LED brake light, LED dynamic turn signal indicator here on the Denali, and we also have an LED reverse light. So 3 out of 3 elements are LED. I'm very happy to see that. As we drop down to this lower fascia, you will notice that we have some blacked out elements as well as chrome elements. All models are also going to have quad exhaust outlets, which I think is a really nice touch. It makes it look a lot more premium than some of the other rivals. As far as your tow rating is concerned, we have a 5,000-pound tow rating with the trailering package.
Now, just like with many other exterior elements, you do have a wide variety of wheel options depending on which trim level you choose. For Denali specifically, that's going to begin with a 20-inch alloy wheel, but what we have is a special 22-inch alloy wheel that's available as an option. This is the largest size alloy wheel that GMC has ever offered on the Acadia, and it really fills up this wheel well nicely and has a lot of pizzazz to it. Now, another Denali exclusive thing that you'll get is the fact that we have the body color wheel surrounds, and then you also have some gloss black accents down here on the lower parts of the vehicle. Now, as we move up here to our mirrors, of course, this is going to come fully loaded with all the features. So we have blind spot monitoring, we have heating, we also have power folding and auto dimming on the driver's side.
You want to know a fun fact about the GMC Acadia? Well, here at the East Side, you're going to learn something. So 2 generations ago, you actually had a pretty large size for the Acadia. Last generation was quite a bit smaller, and then we're back to being big again. 204 inches of overall vehicle length. It's about 6 inches shorter than a Yukon, so it's really a massive vehicle. We'll talk about how that translates to interior space in just a minute. However, in terms of other things that you might be curious about, safety systems are going to be a main priority for a family vehicle, and GMC is including your entire gamut of safety features as standard equipment on this Acadia. Now, the only caveat to that is that Super Cruise will be an option on all versions of the Acadia for around $3,000. So that allows for you to do the hands-free highway driving, no hands on the wheel at all, which is very unique and cool for this segment. It also allows for secondary roads now with a new update. But guys, there's a really, really nice cabin that we can't wait to dive into. So let's go ahead and get into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
And now let's get into that luxurious interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. This is your typical GMC key fob, nothing different here for this model. It does have standard smart entry as well as remote start with this new generation. And then to get inside the vehicle, there is not a sensor behind the door handle, so you just press that chrome button right there and that will unlock the door. All right, now take a look inside of this interior. Certainly a night and day difference from the previous generation, and GMC's really put a lot of unique elements inside of this interior. But before we get into all of those specific details, let's start off by talking about our interior seat and material selections. So you do get a leatherette as standard equipment on your elevation trim level. However, if you want real leather, you do need to step up to the Denali trim level. This gets you a genuine perforated leather. But as you can see, it's not just, a regular leather. They've done a lot of special details for the Denali. So we've got this beautiful stitch detail that runs all across the top here and a unique double stitch detail that runs down the bolsters. Denali is going to be embroidered in the headrest itself, and overall everything feels nice and soft and supple. Now we have the black. As you can see, you can also get something they call sheer, which is essentially a light gray and brown option. Now as far as the seat controls, we're looking at 12-way power adjusting seats with 4-way lumbar support. Denali also comes with memory seats. But let's go ahead, climb inside. Now when you shut the door, you do see some nice animations up there on the gauge cluster. And let's talk about the rest of the cabin materials, because things are really dialed up a lot. So coming over here to our door trim to start off with, you are going to find this nicely covered in a leatherette material. In the center section, we have a very similar stitching detail to what we have on the seat itself. And then we have a beautiful real open pore wood that you see right here, and you'll see it in other places as well. Speaker grills are going to be a genuine metal. And as we move to the upper part of the dashboard, all of this is completely covered in a leatherette with a stitching detail. More of this beautiful open pore wood runs through the middle section. It also has the engraving of Denali. And then we have some chrome trim that runs along the sides here. All these materials are genuine materials, so everything in here does feel very expensive when you touch it. And let's go ahead and fire it up with our standard push button start. Now let's dig into some of the individual features. As always, let's start off with our gauge cluster. So every Acadia is going to have this 11-inch display. One of the interesting things, as you can see, it kind of looks like it's inserted in there. It's a cool look overall. I like the graphics as well. They're fully customizable by using the steering wheel button, including using a full screen Google Maps display. The other nice thing is that we have a head-up display. This is going to be standard on Denali. It's also available on your lower trim levels as well. And versus like the sibling mate Chevy Traverse, that one does not have a head-up display at all. Taking a look at our steering wheel, we have a beautiful Denali design. It's a nice thick rim with real leather wrapped around it. Denali branding, of course. It's power tilt and telescoping as well when you choose the Denali. And we have steering wheel heating right there. All right, let's talk about interior storage. Obviously, this is a big SUV, so we want to see plenty of space, and we tested that out by putting it to the donut test. So this is Car Confections. We like to do the donut test because that is our emblem, and we want to see how many donuts fit inside of the center console. So as you can see, there's actually a little bit of space to spare. So we're traveling, we're in South Carolina right now, and we only bring a dozen along with us. We actually have space for more than a dozen. It looks like we're probably going to be able to fit 4 more than that. So let's call it 28 donuts inside of this center console. It's very impressive. Certainly like that. And the fact is that we have a lot more storage in addition to that. So if we slide back this piece of wood, you have your standard wireless phone charging pad, a little slot right there. And then with the new generation here, we now have this giant center pass-through. So you can throw just about anything you want down here. It's going to hold it in place and just give you a lot of extra versatility. The reason for that is because, like a lot of General Motors products, we've moved to a column electronic shifter. So you just pull down for drive, up for reverse. When you go into reverse, this Acadia actually has a standard 360 surround view camera. So that is all the trims. Even the base model will come with this camera setup. You can switch between all your different views right there. And overall, very impressed by that standard feature. And then just press the end right there for park. You also have your electronic parking brake, of course, over here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. Now, one of the big elements about this new interior is the fact that we have this giant display. It really stands out inside the interior, and it includes a lot of features. We'll kind of work our way up from the bottom. So starting out, we have our climate controls. So as you can see, those are going to be integrated down in here. It's a standard 3-zone climate system on every single Acadia. You can make your adjustments, though, with these physical buttons that are right below the screen. So I definitely like that you don't have to really dig into the touchscreen too much to make those quick adjustments with these physical controls. As far as your seat controls, I do want to hit on those. We have standard heated seats on every single version. Denali will come standard with 3-stage ventilated seats. You can also add that on to the AT4 with the luxury package as well. Now, inside of the display itself, kind of embedded in, we have a volume knob. Every Acadia will come with a Bose sound system. That one's going to be a standard 12 speaker, but if you go to the Denali and choose the optional Denali Reserve package, that's going to get you the 16-speaker Bose Performance sound series. That's what we have, and let's give it a sample right now. Well, with that demonstration from a very oddly intense song, as you can see, it is really, really nice sound quality. Sounds very nice. It fills up the cabin really well, has plenty of bass, but also is going to be, more balanced than that standard Bose sound system. Okay, now let's talk about the overall rest of the system. So the display itself you're looking at is 15 inches. Obviously, this is going to be oriented differently than many other products. So you have that portrait style orientation, but the overall software is going to be the same. Now, this is an Android-based system, so inside of it, you are going to have Google Apps built in. So you have things like your Google Assistant, your Play Store, and of course, you have Google Maps as well, and Waze. Now, one thing I definitely want to make a point of is the fact that we also have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both with wireless ability. I know a lot of people have been confused about this recently on the channel. They think all General Motors products have gotten rid of both these systems. That's not true. If you get a gas-powered model, it's still going to have these systems. It's only the electric models that have eliminated wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There's your proof right there. You can see it is operating here on the system, and I do like that it fills up pretty much the entire display. Now, moving on from that display itself, we do have a rear camera mirror. This is going to be packaged with Super Cruise. And then I'll go ahead and open up our panoramic sunroof. As you can see, a nice large piece of glass. It is going to go all the way back past the second row headrest. The sunshade's a little slow, but overall, a very big piece of glass. It does open up in the front as well.
But arguably the most important aspect of this new Acadia would be here in the rear seat area. So let's go ahead and dive in to see what you and your families are going to get. Now, I want to go ahead and mention space first and foremost. We have 41.5 inches of legroom, 40 inches of headroom, and that is a very, very impressive figure. As a matter of fact, GMC was quick to point out that is the class-leading legroom figure. So that is the most space that you're going to get in this segment, and it's just a massive amount. Now, I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we're sitting at a solid 9 inches of additional knee room. So I really am very happy with that. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat. And one of the things I do want to point out is that these seats do slide forward and back a very good distance to maximize your customizability. And we do also have quite a bit of recline. Now, one of the things that you might be surprised to learn is that bench seating is actually not available for the first model year of the Acadia. So they're all going to come standard with bench seating regardless of which trim level, captain's chairs, regardless of which trim level you choose. And bench seating is not going to be offered yet. Now, maybe in the future they will offer it, but at least not for the first model year. So that's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing with this vehicle. It's going to be 7-passenger seating, not 8-passenger. Now, as far as features, we have 2 cup holders up here at the top. Dropping down below, we have our own climate controls. 3-zone is standard equipment on all models. Additionally, standard on Denali is the 3-stage heated rear seats. You can option that on to other trim levels. Down below that, we have a household outlet, and then we also have quite a large storage cubby inside of there. Now, if you turn over to the door trim, let's talk about some of the features in here. Oddly enough, you are going to be still missing out on rear window sunshades. That's not offered on this Acadia. We do have a really nicely crafted door trim, though. Same materials as the front, wood, leather, stitching, all of the good stuff. And we do also have quite a bit of bottle storage in the very bottom. Let's go ahead and check out the third row. So in order to get back here, they've made it really easy. You just press this button right here. That's going to release the seat up and out of the way. And one of the things I do want to point out is that you can still have a child seat installed. So that's one of the really nice things about this folding mechanism, is that you don't have to remove the child seat. Now, let's go ahead and get back here into the third row. Now, sitting back here, wow, yeah, this is a very, very nice third row, especially for this segment of vehicle. We're sitting at about 32 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom, so just a lot of space overall. This makes it one of the largest things that you can get, aside from something like a GMC Yukon. Now, in terms of the rear legroom, like I mentioned, I'm 5'9", and this seat is slid almost all the way back. So do keep in mind, in order to get that class-leading second row figure, the seats do have to be slid back quite a distance. So you can, of course, slide the seat forward and back, depending on what your seating configuration needs are. But, with the seat slid all the way back, not much additional leg room, but my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, and I do also have quite a good thigh support. Now, as far as features, over here on the side, we have cup holders. We also have a USB-C port on each side. Additionally, we're going to have vents that come out of the ceiling area. I like this. It just kind of blows directly on you. I really like the positioning of it, and I do want to point out that you do have 3 seats back here, as well as the nice quilting design. That's something that I'm a little surprised to see, that they even went through the detail of adding the quilting here in the third row. As far as how it lands on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for adults. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a really nice standard feature, and that's that we have a power tailgate as standard equipment on all Acadia trim levels. Now, also, it does have the new Auto Sense feature, which means that as you walk up to the vehicle, it'll beep a couple times and open up. It's very similar to something like what we've seen on Hyundai and Kia products over the past couple years. That's something that GM is including now instead of the foot activation. Now, as far as the space is concerned, behind the third row, we're sitting at some very good figures. So we went from one of the worst in the segment to one of the best in the segment when it comes to cargo space. So talk about a glow up. About 23 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats. If we fold those seats down, and the second row, we're going to have a maximum of around 97.5 cubic feet. Very, very large figures for this segment of vehicle. Also, I want to point out over here on the side, you will notice that we have a power folding third row. So that's certainly very nice to have that. And you also have buttons to electronically fold the second row flat at the press of a button. So like that, it's very nice and easy to get the full cargo dimension that you're going to need. That is standard on Denali trim levels, though, so you do have to pick a higher end version to get that. Now, it is also worth noting that power folding third row is something that's not even offered on something like an Acura MDX, so if that's something you're cross-shopping with. Now, as far as the overall cargo length, that's something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews in case you're looking to haul something. We have about 89 inches of overall cargo length with the seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". As far as behind the second row of seats, 51 inches. And let's get from behind the third row as well. Get you all those figures, 22 inches. Overall cargo width, very impressive, 49 inches wide. That's very good. And then cargo height is coming in at 32 inches. So you should be able to fit pretty much anything you're going to need. And if you can't, you actually have this area underneath that you can fit additional things. And we also have a full-size spare tire on this Acadia. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new GMC Acadia. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration. Good.
All right, that's 60 miles an hour with this all-new GMC Acadia. Now, like we were talking about the spec dump, we have really big changes under the hood for this next generation Acadia. You used to have kind of a two-prong approach. You had a four-cylinder engine on your low trims. You had the V6 on most of the other trim levels, including the Denali. But now we've gone to a 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine across the entire lineup. And overall power has actually improved quite a bit. You're looking at 18 more horsepower, quite a lot of more torque as well, because that is the nature of this turbocharged engine.
Yeah, so overall power figures, 328 horsepower, 326 pound-feet of torque. So, like Drew said, I think you're really going to notice the biggest benefit when it comes to the torque figure. That's really the main reason a lot of people, or a lot of brands, choose to switch to a turbo four-cylinder is for that additional torque that you get. And really overall, this is going to be very healthy power figures when you're cross-shopping with a lot of different vehicles, especially if you're cross-shopping in the mainstream three-row segment. This is going to be one of the most powerful options as standard equipment. Even if you're shopping in the luxury segment here with like the Denali trim level, if you cross-shop it with an MDX or Infiniti QX60, these are going to be healthier power figures, actually, as a matter of fact, than those V6 options.
It's true. So that's definitely something to consider. Now, you're probably also wondering a little bit about, the sound and the feel of it, right? So when you punch it, you do get a little bit of sound into the cabin. You can tell that it is a four-cylinder engine when you're really pushing it hard. That being said, we were discussing about how this compares to, say, the Traverse. I think it is a little bit more isolated for sure in terms of kind of getting that noise out of the cabin. Also, I don't really feel any real vibrations or anything, so it's kind of just an auditory thing that is going to be a little different than a V6 if that's what you're used to.
Yeah, I maybe would have wished that they did like some sound amplification for like a more burly engine to kind of trick you into thinking that you were in a V6, but overall I don't think it's going to offend many people who are looking to buy in this segment.
Now let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Overall, this transmission feels smooth and responsive. So, just kind of driving around here when you're driving aggressively or even at a slower pace, Definitely feels, like I said, smooth. Also, you put your foot down. It goes several gears at once, and it does that quite quickly, even in the standard drive mode. So overall, I'm very happy with the performance of the transmission.
Yeah, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, standard front-wheel drive on all of the trim levels besides the AT4. AT4 will get standard all-wheel drive, and it's a special twin-clutch all-wheel drive setup for the AT4 exclusively. But I'm sure you're really curious as to how this Acadia Denali rides, and I'm very happy to tell you that this does indeed ride like a luxury SUV should. In our time with it here in South Carolina, I've been very impressed with the way the suspension handles bumps in the road. We do have the largest 22-inch alloy wheels on board, and because of that, I was a little concerned that it may ride a little rougher than it should, but overall, I think they've done a great job. As a matter of fact, if you choose the Denali Reserve package, which does give you those 22-inch alloy wheels, they give you frequency-based dampers, so that can adjust the suspension setup to really get you that best ride quality. And overall, I think it's quite nice. The seats are also very comfortable as well.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of the seats, I did forget to mention in the main part of the review, these do not have massaging, so you're going to have to get the Big Brother Yukon if you want massaging.
And hitting some bumps in the road, I do want to point out that since you do have those large wheels, you do have a little bit of, if it's a really big bump, you have some intrusion inside, so I think it's not quite as smooth as something like an Acura MDX, but overall, I think it's quite nice.
It takes out a lot of the harshness, for sure. And you do, like I said, at the outside, have a lot of different wheel choices, so if you want to pick a different trim, you can go down as far as 18-inch alloys with the AT4, or the Elevation comes with 20s. Now, the road here is relatively straight, but I want to talk a little bit about handling. Overall, I think this vehicle is certainly geared towards the luxury side of things, especially when you're in the standard drive mode. The steering is going to be very, very lightweight. One of the things, though, that does is make it feel like you're driving a smaller vehicle. So even though this is very, very large, it doesn't feel like I'm driving just a ponderous SUV, especially if you're looking at something like a body-on-frame Yukon and kind of comparing back and forth between those two siblings. That is, a truck-based architecture. This feels a lot more maneuverable, a lot more car-like, you could say. So I think that's something to keep in mind if you are actually kind of choosing between those two models.
Now, as far as fuel economy is concerned, we'll insert that in a box down below. All right, now let's go ahead and get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
Yeah, so the Slam Dunk, we're going to go with interior luxury. This is a very nicely done cabin, not just in terms of mainstream rivals, but even when you're in the luxury space. This is something you could definitely cross-shop, and I think a lot of people will, with an MDX, a Lexus TX, and this cabin more than holds its own, and in many respects it's actually as nice or nicer than those two. So definitely a slam dunk with this interior.
Yeah, on the Airball side of things, especially when you are cross-shopping with those luxury rivals, I think the thing that will disappoint you the most is the engine noise. MDX has a really nice, smooth, refined V6, and I think that's a very integral part of a luxury experience, is having a smooth, refined motor under the hood. And while it does have a lot of refinement, it does have the auditory, noise entering into the cabin, which I'm not really a fan of. All right, let's get our sound level reading. Going 55 miles per hour. .7 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading for this Acadia Denali. Wow. That is a very good sound level reading. It is worth noting we are in South Carolina, so we're not in our home state of Kentucky roads. However, I will say this road is pretty similar to the road texture and surfacing as what we see back home, so I think that's a very good figure. And it's worth noting that the Denali does get some extra special elements to make this cabin quieter. It gets acoustic laminated glass. So when you go for that top-end Acadia model, you do get additional benefits, and I think that's showing up here with our sound level reading. Just sitting in here, it seems like a quiet, luxurious experience, definitely more so than the Traverse, we feel like, and we don't have to sit here and compare or guess what this compares to when it comes to sound level readings, because we can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings, where we post all the cars that we review on this channel. And as far as how that compares, that would make it one of the quietest 3-row mid-size SUVs in the mainstream category that we have ever tested out. And now let's go ahead and talk about pricing for this GMC Acadia. So we start at around $44,000 for the base elevation trim level. AT4 is going to start at $51,395. Keep in mind all-wheel drive does come standard on that, and Denali is $55,695. Now if you want a Denali all-wheel drive with the reserve package with Super Cruise like what we have today, you're going to be looking in the mid-$60,000 price point, so do keep that in mind. And if you're looking to buy a GMC Acadia or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description. There's also a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now first up, let's talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this GMC Acadia's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, this Acadia will be worth 55.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.63%. Now, it's worth noting those are actually quite good figures for resale value. It puts it above many of the other American brands. However, it is still going to be less than something like a Toyota or Honda, for example.
We've also done the same for potential reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account studies from several trustworthy sources and combines them to give you guys a more realistic picture of reliability. In this regard, GMC ranks well above average in terms of its overall reliability.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, and this is certainly a great place to go, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Well, guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the all-new 2024 GMC Acadia Denali. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, please pay us back by hitting that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get more car reviews like this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I'm sure you won't want to miss out. So do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.